Welcome to Radical Personal Finance, a show dedicated to providing you with the knowledge, skills, insight, and encouragement you need to live a rich and meaningful life now while building a plan for financial freedom in 10 years or less. On today's podcast, I would like to further that mission of Radical Personal Finance in a physical flesh and blood format by inviting you to join me for the inaugural Radical Personal Finance Family Camp, which I will be hosting in the great state of Indiana in about a month and a half. I want to give you a few minutes of details here on just some basic logistics of the event so that those of you who know, hey, I'm all in, you immediately know what you need to know, and you can go and buy your tickets today. And then I'll give you a more detailed backstory of my experience with events, a little bit more about how I'm designing the event, etc., for those of you who are looking for more information. In short, I am hosting the inaugural Radical Personal Finance Family Camp in Seymour, Indiana, during the weekend of April 11 to April 14. So to help you place the date into your mind, you can remember this as the weekend before tax day, the weekend before tax day. It's also going to be the weekend after the big solar eclipse, which will be on Monday. And the family camp is going to be right inside of the totality. We weren't able to line up the dates exactly, but we were able to line up the location. So if you're traveling to see the solar eclipse, etc., this may work out really beautifully for you to join us the weekend after the solar eclipse. The location of the event is in Seymour, Indiana, which is right smack dab in the middle between Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and Louisville, Kentucky. So it's just south of Indianapolis, Indiana, just west of Cincinnati, Ohio, and just north of Louisville, Kentucky. Very well connected. There's tons of great inexpensive flights in and out of those three airports. And then within driving distance, it's less than 4 hours driving distance from Chicago, St. Louis, even less from Nashville, etc. And so I hope that it's a really great location for many of you and a workable date for many of you. And in essence, what I am planning is what I'm calling a family camp weekend. What I have built is it'll be a 3-day event. So we'll arrive on Thursday, if you're able to, Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, etc. Then we'll be together all day Friday, all day Saturday, half a day Sunday, and then you will be on your way. And my idea is to provide a mixture of great education, personal finance talks, great lifestyle education on various topics related to things that I'm into and that you're into, as well as just a phenomenal time of socializing, getting to know one another, meaning you and me, also many of our friends in the Radical Personal Finance community, and then abundant camp activities. I've rented all the facilities of a local church camp, so we have all of the various camp facilities available to us, and I'll go over more details of that in a moment. If you know, that's it, Joshua, I'm in, I'm sold, go immediately to radicalfamilycamp.com, radicalfamilycamp.com, link in the show notes, of course, radicalfamilycamp.com. Sign up now. There is a first come, first save sale on, a significant sale for the first 20 adult tickets and the first 20 child tickets. And that sale is valid for 1 week. So if you know I'm in, go now. Buy those tickets before they're all gone at radicalfamilycamp.com. If you aren't sure or you arrive at this more than a week from now, no problem. The tickets are still a great price, and you'll see on the website there if they are available. I hope to sell out the event, and I have kind of a limited number of rooms, details on that in a little bit. But hey, go and check it out, radicalfamilycamp.com. Now, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. That was pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself. I think I got you all the information that the quick movers need. I want to share with you now a little bit of the backstory and describe in more detail of what I'm seeking to do and why I'm seeking to do it. First of all, it has been my unrequited ambition to host events for the Radical Personal Finance community for many years now. And it has been very frustrating to me that I have not been able to do it. Or at least well. And I think we're finally, hopefully with this event, we're breaking the seal, and we're going to be able to do this really well. But since starting Radical Personal Finance in 2013, 2014, I have been amazed at the community that has developed out of this podcast. The number of emails that I get, the number of wonderful comments that I get is truly astounding. And I'm grateful for each and every one of them. Soon after I launched the podcast, I, at that time, attended frequently podcasting events and personal finance events, etc. And I was always just entirely thrilled to meet up with listeners in various formats, had lots of breakfasts and lunches and dinners with so many of you. And it's just been it's a great experience for me that I have always really enjoyed. And then my wife and I started to have a bazillion babies, and I basically swore off traveling myself for a significant amount of time because it was a lot of work on her if I was not there for a significant period of time. And obviously I could have forced her. She never complained about it. And obviously I could have done that, but I figured, what's the point of running your own life the way you want to run it? Why should I go be a road warrior if I don't have to? And so I basically stopped going to a lot of events and conferences and things like that. Haven't been to many of those things for over 5 years because we had all these young children and it just didn't seem appropriate to go. But I had a brilliant idea. That, hey, well, it's no problem. I'll just travel with my family. And so starting back in 2018, my wife and I started traveling the United States in our RV. And when I set off on that trip, one of the ambitions that I had was not just to travel with her, but to meet up with listeners all across the country. I pictured myself having a different meetup in a different town every week, every 2 weeks, and announcing on the podcast, hey, we're in Nashville, or hey, we're in Atlanta, or hey, we're in Denver, or whatever, and just hosting a new meetup across the country. That was my initial inclination. That was what I wanted to do. And I thought, this is going to be easy. After all, we got an RV, everything is great. Well, it turns out that it wasn't easy. And basically, it was largely a matter of handling logistics of event locations, dates, etc. What we discovered at that time, RVing across the country with a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and 1-year-old, et cetera, was that we were able to have a great time with our travels as long as we were not particularly committed to any certain schedule or to any certain dates. So there were a few dates we hit, of specific dates we needed to have, but beyond that, it was fairly stressful to have to be somewhere at a certain time. And it was much easier if we traveled on a more carefree basis without firm commitment to dates. And also our route at that point in time was fairly undetermined. And we were trying to hit some hard dates that we wanted to visit with some people that we had planned out. And then it just seemed like we needed to press on. And I think most people, when they start going traveling, certainly most RVers in the beginning, they have a tendency to move very quickly, to travel too much. And it was no different for us, is that we traveled far too quickly and far too fast for ourselves, but we had good reasons. We didn't know how long we were going to be on the road, and we needed to keep making forward progress. I mean, it all seemed like good reasons. So we were traveling very, very quickly. And in order to host an event, I needed to be at least a week in advance. That would be kind of the minimum. And it would be ideal if it were a couple weeks in advance, because many people listen to podcasts on a delayed schedule. They check in every now and then, every week or two. They don't listen right when a show is published, which is perfectly understandable. It just means that I needed to plan ahead more. And then I needed to plan ahead with certain logistics. So who should I host, and where should we be, and how many people will come, etc. And so the plan was to do meetups all across the country. As it turns out, we only did a handful. We met up with some listeners privately who had invited us to see them. We hosted a handful of events, which were beautifully attended, the ones that we did do. Thank you very much. But those events worked when we knew we were going to be in a specific place for a specific period of time. And then we cut our trip short. I had planned to be on the road for a year. Turns out that we were on the road for 6 months. And so I cut the trip short and kind of abandoned the idea of doing it. And then once again, with small children, it was just challenging. We would go to an event and my wife and children could come. They could be there for an hour, hour and a half, but usually the event would be late. bedtime, etc. It's not super great. And so then they would have to go back and go to bed, and I would stay and visit for longer. So once again, small children, while wonderful accessories to life, certainly do change your lifestyle and change your options in various ways. Then over the years, we started traveling internationally. And I remember 2 years ago, my plan was, let's go to Europe. This is going to be fantastic. I got lots of European listeners. Let's have meetups all across Europe. And so I had a car. We're traveling across the continent, going here, going there. And once again, though, my ambitions were foolishly optimistic for all the reasons that I just said. And as it turns out, we did no public meetups in Europe the entire time that we were there. And that trend has basically continued over the years, is that I've wanted to do meetups. And I have, when I've gone on trips by myself to various places, I've done meetups, various places in the United States, Canada, etc. And it's just been difficult to figure out how to do them in advance. It's challenging. Even the logistics of a simple meetup requires a little bit of planning, a little bit of commitment, etc. And it can be challenging to know how to do it. Why do I care about this? Why is this important? Well, it's my observation that we are living in a world in which the way that we interact with one another is changing dramatically. And it's not all good and it's not all bad. It's a mixture. First, with our digital communication revolution, a lot of our real and true interaction can now happen in a disembodied way. I don't think that internet friendships are fake friendships. I think they are real. The way that we communicate with one another using all the various forms of digital connection that we have, these ways are real ways to build and maintain relationships. Many jobs now, we can do them remotely. But what I see happening is that these ways of communicating do not replace the value of face-to-face relationships, but indeed they make the value of the face-to-face relationships much more important. And as a remote worker myself, I'm very conscious of this, that I don't mind working remotely most of the time. In fact, I think it's a great advantage for most workers who do digital work to be able, or work that can be transmitted digitally, to work from home, work from wherever, and do most of your work that way is really ideal. But it shouldn't be all the time. And so companies that have a dispersed workforce, I believe that it's far more important for them that they're super intentional about scheduling significant opportunities for face-to-face contact, significant weekend events or 3-day events. And it's more than just quote-unquote team-building events. These events are necessary for human relationships. Some of the strongest and most productive relationships that I have are relationships where most of our communications happen in a dispersed manner, where I live here, you live on the other side of the country. That's no problem. But there needs to be a face-to-face connection at some point in order for us to be able to communicate on a deeper level with our actual face-to-face, where we have a chance to know each other, to take the measure of a man face-to-face, et cetera. It makes all the difference in the world. And so it's really important. And I observe that when those two things go together, meaning digital connection and face-to-face connection, the relationships can be stronger than they otherwise would be. For example, I think about various groups and whatnot that I have set up with my family and friends and things like that. Just the ability to chat with one another on an ad hoc basis in a private WhatsApp group or Facebook group or messaging group, whatever you use, that can strengthen relationships in a way that wasn't possible when we were only having face-to-face relationships. And so this makes you feel closer to people because you're able to share more of the moments of your lives with your small groups. However, if those relationships are only digital and they're not buttressed and reinforced by that face-to-face contact, then they leave us feeling extremely lonely. But when they go together, they're the strongest. That's my point, is that we want them to be together. And so here at Radical Personal Finance, I'm thrilled to have a great connection with you, my listener, in a digital format. Even when it's only one way, it's a great connection. But I also need that face-to-face format, and you need that face-to-face format with like-minded people. Because at the end of the day, while we can appreciate these digital forms of connectedness that we enjoy, the truth remains that you and I are physical creatures with a physical experience, and that physicality should be part of our life. So that has been my desire, is to bring people together. One of the great things that concerns me enormously about our society is that I see with my own eyes, and I read the data from the psychological surveys that indicate that in many ways it's not unfair to characterize us as a society of people who are dying of loneliness. And I think this is particularly pronounced for those of us even who are in child-raising years. That while there can be variations of this, meaning that there are times in life where our children wind up being an expression of socialization. You make your friends through your child's school and go to sporting events and music events, etc. So it's not always lonely, but in general, it can be a fairly lonely experience that you have, because when you're a parent, it's hard to schedule time to go and socialize with other people without having some activities and things planned, etc. So as a way to try to improve this, I've wanted to have events, and I've wanted to have some kind of camp, some kind of event where people can be together. One more comment on the camp, and I'll get into more details. But when my wife and I RV'd across the country, we loved it. We loved that experience. And the reason we loved that experience was because we were able to have more intimate communication with our friends and loved ones that we had been missing for years being parents. So when you are a parent, for those of you who are aspiring parents or just are unaware, your schedule naturally changes a little bit. And while you can push your children and be out late and things like that, it often is just, it's excessively difficult and not worth it, especially when you have young children. And so when you start to have young children, you start to experience a lot of social isolation. You start to experience a lot of social isolation. And no one intends it. It's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. It just happens. Because number one, your children are demanding on your time, your attention, etc. When you are with other people, you have an enormous duty of caring for your children. So you always have to be watching. You always have to be making sure there's not fights happening, that children aren't in danger, physical danger, etc. The presence of children and their noisy, boisterous play is often disruptive to adult conversations, and it's just not super enjoyable. It's hard to have a long, drawn-out adult conversation when you're watching a 3-year-old run around and play with his friends. And so you wind up going into this period where you often don't have many conversations, because even when you do go to social events, you're watching your children. And if you don't watch your children, then of course you're not a great parent, and everybody would judge you as not a great parent. And just not an option. You want your kids to survive and to live to see another day. And so you've got your job to do. So you wind up losing a lot of the social connection that you formerly had. And then and then you wind up taking your children home early, etc. So you get on a different schedule than your friends that don't have children. And then the relationships start to grow a little bit weak, and people just drift away, because we generally socialize with people who have a similar lifestyle to the kind of thing that we have. And then if you continue it, then you often wind up, what I mean is that, so you say, okay, well, I'm going to send my wife home with the children, and I'm going to go and hang out with my buddies. All right, well, that's fine every now and then, but most good husbands and wives don't like to do that. And there's a balance in which going to a third place and having your own adult relationships is valuable, but there's a real balance there where you can go too far and then cause issues and challenges, and you don't want to do that. And so you wind up being isolated is the point. And it comes on you gradually, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're 3 or 4 or 5 years in, and you realize, like, where are our friends? And you're friends with other parents, but you never have a long time to talk to them because you're always together when you're with children. So when we started traveling across the country in an RV, we found the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is we put the children to sleep in the RV, then we go in and hang out with our friends for 3 hours. And it takes you back to those heady days of college and young adult living where you can stay up all night and visit with your friends. It's really wonderful. And so we always look for opportunities to do a similar thing. But in order to do it, you got to have some kind of facility is the point. So if I'm getting together with my family or family reunions, then ideally you want to have some kind of facility where you can be together in a physical way, if at all possible, where you can put children to bed and then enjoy adult relationships. So back to events, it's hard to do that with events, but it's doable if you find an appropriate facility. And so one of the goals I've had is to host some variation of a family camp, because there are solutions for these problems. And the solutions are usually camps or church camps, family camps, various expressions of them. And these are really fun. There are lots of professional organizations that offer these kinds of family camps. Families go there, you pay a fee. There's tons of activities for the children. There's tons of activities for the adults. And those are super fun to go to with your friends. You get a couple families together and everyone's got something to do. You're together in the evenings and at night, but you have things to do in the daytime. And I think this is a really ideal way to structure a chance for people to spend a couple days together. And so that's what I'm doing. So I've rented a whole church camp facility and in Indiana, and it is I have a friend of mine who's helping me organize it. And so he's the one who found the facility. He's the one who negotiated everything, made it really simple for me to just say yes. And we just picked a date and let's do it and see what happens. And now the goal is, well, what can I put together that will be helpful and appealing to you, that'll make you guys want to come? So I want everyone to come. And so let me describe what I'm trying to do so you can see if it might be a good fit for you. Number one, I'm trying to create an event that will have something for everyone so that you'll be motivated to come. And so what I thought is, and this is kind of a classic thing also that kept me wondering for a long time, is, well, what kind of thing do people want? I can talk to you here on a microphone, so I can lecture to you with no problem here. If I'm going to create something physical, what's the additional benefit of a physical event versus a digital thing? A digital course is often a more effective means of teaching than is something in person. So what needs to be the benefit of it? Well, it should be socialization. But then the question is, if we're just going to socialize, is that going to be easy to justify the money to go to a camp? Shouldn't I offer something more? And so for this inaugural event, what I have built is basically a 3-track event. And it's going to be up to you what track you come to, but and how you wish to participate. But I'm trying to create an event that has something that will appeal to you, to everyone in your family, and be a good fit for everyone. So first of all, I'm going to present a series of talks on finance. I'm going to use the Radical Personal Finance Framework for Wealth as my outline of those talks, because I can collapse that into 2 minutes, and I can expand it into two years of university courses. So it gives me a good level of appropriateness, and I can use content and material that is appropriate for folks who are extremely advanced with their money, very wealthy, earn a high income, and I can use levels that are appropriate for your teenage son who's just getting started, doesn't have anything, has never even had his first job. And so that's my basic outline. Number two, though, I think a huge benefit of an event is to have something hands-on, have an actual workshop where you implement something. The great danger of any form of content, such as a podcast or a course, etc., is that you absorb an idea and it tickles your brain. You say, it's a good idea, I should do that someday, and you go on to the next thing. That's what we all do. And we just swipe, listen, more books, more information, more podcasts, more information, and we don't do anything. And in reality, most of us be better off if we just chucked 90% of what we listen to, and we spent all that time, instead of listening to new things, we spent all that time implementing the few good ideas that we heard in the 10%. And so I have arranged a series of practical workshops workshops to implement kind of the finance track of content. And so there's going to be with this 3-day event, there's going to be a complete collection of financial talks, tightly concise talks with practical workshop application. I'm going to work with you to implement the ideas of each of the talks in a specific way. So my goal is that you come to the camp and you leave with a clear plan to make more money, lower your expenses, invest more effectively, avoid catastrophe, optimize lifestyle with clear, specific ideas and actual actions taken to implement those ideas. I want you to make money on the event in the fullness of time. Number 2 is I'm bringing in what I'm calling a lifestyle track right now. And the idea is there's a lot of things associated with radical personal finance that don't fit perfectly into the personal finance framework. And so I've built out a series of sessions. The sessions are not yet set in stone, but for example, some of it may be a discussion on home education, some of it discussion on language learning, some of it discussion on things like that, or, the kinds of things that I talk about. But we've also got a series of presentations, of hands-on presentations planned that will be of interest to various members of the family and whoever is appropriate for. So an example would be one of the great business opportunities that I believe is available to anybody, literally anybody, although ordinarily these kinds of businesses we would target towards a young man or woman, adolescent or child, is quite simply just making money doing things like baking bread and selling bread to your neighbors, or baking cookies and selling cookies, nicely decorated cookies. And so we're planning a workshop. I found this great entrepreneur that a young teen entrepreneur who has a great business, great cookie business, does tons of business making and selling cookies into her local event, corporate events, etc. And then so probably she'll be presenting, maybe we might do it with bread, not sure, but we're going to have a hands-on workshop and going to present the business fundamentals that'll be appropriate to anybody who's looking for a sideline income, and then also go through the actual process of applying it and bake some bread, make some cookies, things like that. There are other things. So another example is balloon twisting and balloon tying. Balloon twisting, not tying, is an example of what I think of an ideal skill that some motivated teens and young people could use to make extra money on the side, and their per hour rate can be enormously higher than working at a local retail job. But it's the kind of but it's limited in numbers of hours. And so we're planning a workshop on that, for example, to come in and say, here, you can learn a skill. You can learn the skill physically. We have a presenter to come in and present on the skill itself. But then let's talk about the business application of this. And if there's 2 or 3 or 4 fairs that you can go to and events in your area per year, and you can go and you can make a couple $100s at an event, twisting balloons, that's a pretty good way for a young person especially to make money. So we've developed a series of we're calling just kind of a lifestyle track of some talks on different things that hopefully will be broadly appealing to those who may not be interested in personal finance, but they're interested in ideas. And some of these might be helpful and appealing to your teens. And then the third thing is that we've got an entire camp, and the camp is really beautiful, really well equipped. It's got all the camp activities. So we've got all the ball games and, gaga ball and volleyball and basketball and et cetera, ultimate frisbee. We've got a bouldering wall. We've got hiking trails and creek stomps and horseshoes and kayaking and canoeing, although it's probably going to be too cold to use all the lake stuff, and mountain bikes and playgrounds and all of the outdoor stuff. Plus, we've got a complete kind of staff-led stuff. So we've got a high ropes course and a low ropes course, and we're going to play archery tag, and we've got a BB gun range and hatchet throwing and all the camp stuff as well. So there's going to be a complete and total, plus all the indoor games as well, foosball and ping pong and board games and pool and all that stuff. So it's a complete and very beautifully equipped camp. So if you've got people in your family that just aren't interested in classes and want to just hang out, then this is a great opportunity to do that as well. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people who just want to come and hang out. So I think that'll be the appropriate way. I hope that'll be attractive to you. I hope that you will find that and say, hey, there's going to be something for everyone in my family to do. Among those various options, if people are really into personal finance and they want to attend lectures on personal finance with practical workshops, great. I'll be teaching those, and I will make this stuff make sense to you no matter what level it is, and you'll go away with a clear action plan of things that you can do that over the next year or two are going to dramatically improve your financial condition. If it's more of the lifestyle track, there's going to be plenty of information on that. And then if you just want to hang out and go to camp, then that's going to be with friends and people of similar persuasion as you, then that's going to be available to you as well. I hope that the agenda that I've designed is an appropriate balance among these things, recognizing again that socialization is usually a primary thing, but then we also want to, just socialization alone makes it hard to justify, at least for me. I like to learn things. So hopefully we've got a good balance, and we'll look forward to your ideas. By the way, I have the agenda designed, but it's not set in stone yet. And so if you say, you know what, Joshua, I'm absolutely coming, and here's what I would really love for you to prepare for me, there's still time and there's still opportunity for me to interact with you. And if you're thinking that there's probably other people, or if you're thinking, you know, Joshua, I really would love to come to an event that you would host, but what you've described is not for me. But if you did this, I would really come. Then great, let me know, because I want to serve you. I want to bring people together. I want to bring people in my community together. I want to hang out with you and enjoy interacting with you, but I also want you to build friends that are in your area and build relationships and have encouragement when you need it. Let's talk about the facilities. So this camp is going to be a all-inclusive, and what I mean is that when you buy the ticket, you have a bed to sleep in and a room to have, and food. We're providing all the food and all the sleeping accommodations. The camp is nice. It is clean. It is well kept. It is a bit rustic and industrial, as you would expect from a camp, that's designed to be used by tons of kids and campers. So the facilities are very well done. It's a very nice camp, very well done. But the mattress, I would expect the mattress to be firm, and the shower curtain is a plastic shower curtain. So it's not going to be the fanciest of things, but it's very nice, very clean, perfectly adequate, comfortable. Everything is there, and everything is going to be included. So again, we'll provide you with a bed, and we'll provide you with all of your food. Now, depending on the people that we have, we're going to do our best to have the highest quality food and other things that we are capable of. And so I'm being careful not to make verbal commitments until I see kind of how things go. But our ambition is to provide you with a really fantastic event. That's my goal. And so in terms of rooms, it's a little bit complicated for me to arrange the logistics because I've rented the entire camp. I've got lots of independent cabins. I've got room sizes from 2-person rooms, 4-person rooms, 6-person rooms, 8-person rooms, etc. My plan is that all the families will have their own individual private room. That's my plan. And then depending on how many single people I have sign up, then we'll try to either get you, one of the small 2-person rooms, or I may allocate one of the rooms to bunk rooms for single individuals. So I'm selling them the tickets on a price per head basis, but I'm gonna use a lower capacity than the camp would be capable of if it were all price per head to manually allocate rooms to you and your family so that you have privacy. That's the plan. So we'll see who signs up and kind of how that works. I think it'll be good, but I've rented the whole camp, but we'll see. At the end of the day, you and I are going to learn a lot together. I hope that you guys love the event. I hope that it sells out. I hope you come, and that's my plan. If only a few of you are interested in coming, great. Then we're going to do it, and we're going to have a great time. So what I need from you is, I guess, your feedback. Like I said, this is the inaugural event, so I'm putting everything I've got into planning something that's going to be really great and really fun. I was extremely encouraged by the recent event that I did in Panama. That event was clearly a much more of a niche appeal in terms of internationalization and Panamanian investment tour, things like that. But for me, the best part of it was just hanging out with my listeners. Some of the coolest listeners that I just enjoyed being with y'all for a week. those of you who were there, it was just amazing. I enjoyed that so much because it gave an opportunity for us to build real relationships that can continue in the years to come. And that's what I'm hoping comes out of this family camp. So I ask you to come. I really want you to come. I really want the event to be fantastic. I want it to be something that you really love. If you have further questions, again, you can sign up by going to radicalfamilycamp.com, radicalfamilycamp.com. That URL will forward through to the Eventbrite page where you can buy tickets, radicalfamilycamp.com. Sign up today. If you've got questions for me that I haven't mentioned, then you can email me, joshua@radicalpersonalfinance.com. If you live in that area, you'd like to volunteer for something, you say, Joshua, I want to teach a session on this, etc. I'm open to hearing that from you. I've got most of the things covered, etc. But if you would like to volunteer for something or you have ideas that you think would really add to it, please email those to me, joshua@radicalpersonalfinance.com. If you think, you know what, Joshua, I'm on the fence, like I'd like to come, but here's what you could do that would just push me over the edge, again, email me. And if I can do it, I will, because I really want to serve you. I want to create an event that will serve you. I've done my best to think about that based upon my experience interacting with you, think about what I think would be helpful and fun, and all the events that I've been to. But if I'm off in some way, then just give that to me, and my goal is to serve you. So you can reach out at joshua@radicalpersonalfinance.com. And that's it. Go to radicalfamilycamp.com. Remember, first come, first save sale. The first 20 adult tickets are discounted quite a lot, and the first 20 child tickets are discounted quite a lot, and that sale is on for 1 week. So if you'd like to sign up and save money, go to radicalfamilycamp.com. Sign up today. radicalfamilycamp.com. Again, radicalfamilycamp.com. Is that enough times? I think you got it.